Hello and welcome to another episode of In the Studio. Today I'm joined by Becky James, who's going to show us this beautiful artistic panel using paint and ink techniques. Hi Becky.
Hi Katie.
Now you've got something very artistic for us today, haven't you?
Well, this is the kind of project where you can really mess about and be artistic, and it's kind of along the lines of things that I do in my art journal, which is a really popular thing to do at the moment. You know, you can use it to document your feelings or to play around with projects and stuff like that and products and see what you can do. And it actually all came about because the embossing folder we're going to talk about in a minute that I'm using actually reminded me of Moorcroft pottery, and that's why all the colours are as they are and that sort of thing. And so, you know, it just shows you that your inspiration can come from anywhere.
Yeah.
But this is the Cherry Blossom Stripes 5x7 inch embossing
lovely.
folder that we've brought out in the Xcut range, and this is what we're actually going to start with. Now, probably you wouldn't expect the finished article to have started with something like this.
No, not at all.
But the other thing that we're going to use as well, and this is my base, this is a really basic thing to start off with, but this is the back of an A4 pad, you know, the little cardboard bases. I use these a lot for this kind of work. And what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you to actually emboss that for me. So let's pop that in there.
There we go. And
I think when this comes out of the folder, you'll really be able to see the depth and the detail of this pattern. It really is beautiful, isn't it? And the first thing that I've done is I've actually painted it. Now I've gone with some quite bright colours here, but actually we're going to be toning them down with other effects as we go along. But the colour I've used is the Artiste Acrylic Paint in Raspberry. I love this colour. There's something really red and bold about it. So we're going to start with that. Now, next thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put a layer over the top of another colour. I've put a couple of layers of the raspberry on, and you get this kind of chalky velvet feel to it. But the first thing I need to do, and I'm just going to get, because this is one of my favourite things because I love getting messy, but I do need to protect my work surface. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just use some candle wax.
Okay.
And we're going to rub that over the top and rub it quite strongly. And what that will actually do on those raised images, it's a bit like brush rubbing really, but on those raised images, it will give a waxy surface so that when we sand a little bit later, which is what we're going to do, the paint that goes over the top of it will sand back much more easily.
Amazing, yeah. And
what we're going to do now is, I've got a mixture of, and these are fast becoming staples in my my little paint box, is I'm going to mix some sea spray and Lagoon to get a lovely aqua turquoise colour. But that colour's lovely, nice. Sort of aqua colour.
It's beautiful.
So now I've got a nice big brush here, and what I'm going to do is just sweep the paint on nice and thickly. Having done that, what I would do is let that dry really well.
Okay.
And if you want to leave it with just one coat on, you can, but it will actually dry with the red still seeping through.
Okay.
So what you can do is put another layer of the wax candle on and then paint over the top again.
Okay.
And you'll end up with a panel that's like this.
Okay.
Or you can see a little bit of the red coming through, but not that much. And what we're actually going to do with this now is sand this back. Now what will mostly come through is the lines that are from the embossing powder, but some detail of the flowers will as well. But what we're going to do is we're going to actually highlight the flowers and do work with the flowers more later on as well. So I've got an emery board or some fine sandpaper, anything like that. And all I'm going to do is, now can you see where that's coming through?
Yeah, that looks great.
And that's because we've put the wax on.
So you're not having to sort of rub really hard, you're not wearing through the paper or anything.
And exactly, and you do, but not just that, by adding the wax, I'll just hold this up so you can see it, you can see all this lovely detail coming through. But by adding the wax as well, you'll have almost like a barrier to stop you going through it too far through, so not through the red onto the cardboard. It's kind of like a protection as well from going too far and having to rub too hard so that you actually do that. And then what I've done next, now I'm going to show you a little tip of mine, but what I've done is I've used my favourite Spritzing ink, and what I've done is I've taken the panel that I've sanded down, and I have a little a little box which goes with me out to my demos and things like that, because I can't take my big spritzing box out to my demos.
This is your portable spritzing box?
This is my portable spritzing box. And what I've done is I've basically popped that in there and then spritzed over it. And I've used my two favourite colours, which are the white and the gold. And I've also flicked them as well. So when you flick, what you do is, I'll just show you. You take the centrepiece out, take the mister out, and you just basically tap it.
Yes.
And that way you get the bigger blobs as well.
Yeah.
So that is really, really easy to do. And what you've done, when you've done that, you just pop it away, let it dry, and you end up with a lovely panel like the one that we've got here.
This one. Oh, so you can see, yeah, you can definitely see the gold and the white on there.
That's it.
Looks great.
But I'm going to do one thing which is now going to bring out all of the detail of the flowers. And that is, I'm going to get my black dye ink pad. I'm not going to use it with any stamp pad foam. I don't need to. I'm basically just going to start rubbing it on.
Oh, wow.
And immediately you do this, you start to get this detail of the flowers with that bit of red in the background. I'm really just rubbing it on. But can you see
That's great, yeah.
How those colours start to come out now? Now, the next thing I want to do is I'm going to add a bit of white into the project. And on an earlier video, if you remember, we talked about adding white to a stenciled card that we did.
Yes.
And how by adding the white, it made things start to pop.
Yeah, definitely.
We're going to do exactly the same here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to use this to pick up the paint. I'm going to dab it in and pick up to the back of my palette knife. And I'm going to start to use this now to add lines down my stripes. Just to highlight my stripes. So that's enough white. There's nothing particularly, as I say, techniquey about it, but you start to get a feel for almost like working with a canvas or a palette. So the next thing I've done, having let that probably go a little bit dry, is I've got a nice dark blue here. This is called night blue. Now here, this is another technical tool. You know the foam applicators that you have? Well, my foam applicator broke off, but it's got a nice little
wooden little dowel end.
So I'm going to use that to start to add some little details on here. And then some of them I'm going to drag down, just so that it leaves you with a bit of, like some colour there. And then I have another technical piece, because so much of what I do with this is so technical. So I've got a little, this is, I don't know where this came from, but it looks a bit like a very narrow straw. So let's just get...
Sort of those bits and pieces you find around the house, isn't it? Yeah, anything you really.
Yeah. And I'm just going to, where I've got those darker bits, I'm just going to add some highlights to them. So the next little bit that I want to do is I just want to balance the white stripes with some dark blue. So all I'm going to do is, again, this is an old skewer stick that I've chopped off in between in half. So I'm going to just get one of those, pop a dark piece there, and then go down.
Nice, this is just making little dots.
Yeah, so we're just putting one darker dot. The next thing I want to do is I want to work on those flowers, because I've got my background now. So I've got some red ink here, and I can see roughly where they are. So what I'm going to do, let's just dab that off a bit, is I'm going to use the red ink to start to highlight those flowers, where the petals are. And then I'm just going to, because I quite like the black, a bit more black in there, then I can just, on a couple of them, I might just highlight a bit more with the black. Now I'm using a little bit of yellow and the red, because these are really going to pop.
Yeah, lovely.
I'm not going to actually mix them, but what I'm going to do is, now I'm going to take the darker, the bigger dot end with the yellow, get rid of a bit, and where those little stamens are, I'm going to
you can just see them.
Add them in. You can just see them. To be honest with you, if you find you can't, just go with the flow.
Put them anywhere.
Put them where you want to put them, there's no problem at all. So I've done that, and then I'm going to get a little bit of red on and add that into the centre, so that you get that sort of two-tone colour.
Really good.
If you want to hold that up. So just to add the stalk, get the little end, the small end of the skewer, and you just drag it back on itself. And it won't be perfect. So don't expect anything when you're doing something like this, a piece of artwork like this, that it will be.
That's half the fun though, isn't it? You want it to be, you know, unique and...
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly why I enjoy doing something like this. But there you go, you see, you can see the difference between the ones with and the ones without.
Yeah, that looks great.
Then I've got something else I'm just going to quickly do. We've got two little things that I'm going to show you, which are techniques that have been used on here.
Okay.
First is that I'm going to add a little bit of pearlescence to the flowers, because when you've done this work, even though the Spritzings will still be in the background, quite often when you're working with the surfaces, the Spritzings will come off on where the flowers are, or will at least become a little duller. So I've got my metallic pigment ink, a little bit of foam pad, and all I'm going to do is along the ends of the petals I'm just going to add a little bit, and it will just add a hint of fluorescence to them. So not fluorescence, pearlescence, completely the wrong word there. But if you can just see, can you see where the gold is?
Yeah.
But on these ones, it's not dull, but you don't have, it almost adds another layer of shading.
It looks like a really, even more three-dimensional.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful.
And then there's one final thing I've found that you can do, and why I've never thought of doing this before is beyond me, but knowing my love of glitter and glitter glue. But we're going to do something with my little iridescent.
This is your favourite, isn't it?
This is my favourite iridescent glitter glue, yes. And what I'm going to do, pop a little bit on there. Now, I have a tub here full of something I'm rather partial to, which is the Paper Mania Gold glitter.
It's not a takeaway.
It's not a takeaway. No, I enjoyed that beforehand. And if I ever need a new storage pot, it's a great reason to have a takeaway.
Sounds like a good excuse to me.
Exactly. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, take a little bit of that, pop it on there and mix it together. And now we've got an iridescent gold glitter glue.
Very nice.
And that's really, really pretty. Now, I'm not worried about ending up gluey, but if you don't like doing that, just pick it up with a brush to add it on, just to dab it on. Make sure you wash your brushes out straight away though, because once it's dried in, you'll never get your brush clean again, so just be aware of that.
Because it is a glue at the end of the day.
It is a glue, exactly. Yeah. So popped a bit on my finger there, and just on the petals, I'm just going to add a little bit. And it's really, really subtle. And that's really just a whole bunch of techniques to be excited about, play with, see what you can come up with.
And you can try just one of them, or try them all, and try them, you know, on all your different embossing folders. It'll open up a whole new world of use for them, which is lovely. Yeah. If you've enjoyed Becky's projects today, why not head over to docrafts.com to find out about all the bits and pieces she used to create her fabulous techniques. And if you've been inspired to get messy and maybe try some of Becky's art journaling techniques, we'd love to see what you've been up to. Upload your own makes to docrafts.com, and we and all the other crafters can pop along and have a little look at them. If you'd like more inspiration, why not like our Facebook page? You can find the details on screen now. There's lots of inspiration, plus lots of other crafters to talk to as well. Until next time, happy crafting.